So yeah, it'll be interesting. This is the one before, obviously, to talk about the 25th anniversary. Anniversary. Do you think it'll be a big one? This is Ash's first one as well. They're gonna have to really push to get people's trust back on this show. I think this is probably one of their most important showcases in a long time because ever since the start of this generation, they've been so terrible. And it's just like people are like, yeah, that was great. I'm like, yeah, but it's not sold any machines. This one needs to sell interest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, who's the new yeah, yeah, so it's her new
Asha Sharma.
Asha Sharma. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for her. Obviously, they're still playing on the playbook which they planned from a year and a half ago. So I don't know how much control she's
Well,
actually got at the moment.
all of this is an Xbox won't be in this showcase. I tell you that for starters.
Well, yeah, I mean that shouldn't have been in anybody's showcase. But yeah, it's going to be good to see that. On the surface, optically, it looks like Xbox is doing something different. They've got a new CEO. It looks like they're making changes. They're still presenting a confident face. Yeah, we're still going to release a new console. Everybody was a little bit, skeptical about the potential pricing, but now we're seeing the competitors potentially doing the same thing. So now it's looking, oh well, maybe that's not going to be too bad. You know what I mean? Because like it looks like even Sony and Steam Deck are all going to be facing similar types of challenges. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the landscape of the industry is in the next 2 years. And I do think that obviously Xbox is going to be still present in it. And it seems like if they can maintain this strong front and remember the games, they could
Hmm.
have another comeback. If they come out with some exclusives, and they say, yes, if you want to get this, it's going to be exclusive on our console, looking as great as it could potentially can be for like maybe a year. That will give Xbox fans, a chance to, regain a bit more trust and, and give Xbox a bit more reputation, well, repair their reputation, which has been obviously heavily damaged, as you mentioned, through this generation. They can come back from this. They just need to do the things that we all expect a game studio to do, or even a console manufacturer to do, which is look after your customers. Create that trust which you've built over X amount of years and reward them with games that they want to play. If you do that, then yeah, we can keep going on because there is no way we can go through a future where it is just Sony, dominating the industry. That's terrible. I do not want to see that
Um,
future at all.
I'm sorry, mate. I don't know what rock you've
Nintendo,
been living. I don't know what rock you've been living under, but they
Nintendo. It's
have
like,
been dominating
no, no, no.
since
That's what I'm saying. That's
PS1,
that's the
since
problem. That's
'95,
the
isn't
no, no, that's the
it?
problem. It's like they need a every Rocco needs like an Apollo Creed. You know what I mean? You need that adversary. You need that competition who's going to help push you
Oh
forward.
yeah, 100%, definitely.
Nintendo is not pushing Sony forward in terms of Nintendo has a completely different market. So Sony needs Xbox to go blow for blow as they go forward into producing great content for customers. So yeah, man, Microsoft, get your finger at your freaking ass. Show a great showcase this year, and show us some games that at least your fans will be happy to have, and then we'll be happy to have in the next 2 years when it gets
As
released.
a PlayStation gamer, the best possible showcase that I can envision is up until Helix, we are multi-platform, and then we're going back to exclusive. Game Pass is dropping prices. Day one games will not come to Game Pass. We're going to make it more like PlayStation Plus. That way, the eco and the money is still coming in, and we're going to go aggressive and subsidize across the price on for the next generation. They won't announce that there, but they should turn around and say, yeah, look, Game Pass, we're dropping the price. Day one games are coming out, but we're going to model it more around PS Plus, so they will get there eventually. And add different perks and stuff. Because as I said to you, it's Xbox making Game Pass empowered Sony to improve Plus, and had they not done that, then you wouldn't have Plus in its current iteration. Sony wouldn't have been forced to do it. And it's an amazing service now. So now you've got to compete with that, but you've got to make money. And the only way Microsoft can stop exclusives is if they turn around and say, actually, we don't need the money that is coming from, you know, a 5-year-old racing game making us an extra $300 million. And, we don't need that. Yes, you fucking do need that, right? So it's just, how do you subsidize the PlayStation side by going exclusive? Easy. You take it out of Game Pass. If you are a hardcore Xbox fan who laments the fact that we are playing your games here on the blue side, you have to sacrifice something, and that is those first party games launching day
Yeah.
one on Game Pass. It don't work. Wouldn't you
No, I
rather
mean,
have it
then put
like,
it on Game Pass, but just like you said, just make you pay for it. You know what I mean? As opposed to it being freely available. It
but
shouldn't
dude,
be.
look how much it's the catalogs, right? You look at PlayStation Plus, it is the catalog. Sony very rarely day one game and a third party game into the platform. And when they do, it's not a triple A game. It's a double A or an independent game that comes to PlayStation Plus day and date. Sword of the Sea, for example, which a lot of people wanted to play. And you could day one on PlayStation Plus, but you're not going to see Saros walk into it. No, you're not. If I was Game Passing that, okay, how do we do this? Okay, well, why don't we drop Game Pass? You need to be the. I think what Microsoft has lost. Do you remember when? Am I right in saying that when Game Pass came out, the marketing jargon around it was the best price or the best value in gaming or something like that. They were saying that all over the
Close.
place. I
Yeah.
think it was the best value in gaming, right? It ain't anymore. So how do you do it? All right, let's lower the pass. Let's lower the entry point to Game Pass. Let's get rid of some of these silly tiers. Let's
Hmm.
lower the price. Let's make some deals and get the library fuller. Take day one out, but if you have Game Pass, you get like PlayStation Plus, you get a big percentage discount on buying the game. So
Yeah.
if you're a
Yeah.
game, Forza Horizon 6 is coming out, it's 79.99 or 69.99 or £70. But if you're a Game Pass subscriber, you get 25% off.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So then for Game Pass, I'm thinking, well, I've still got access to all of the old AAA games you've ever launched.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got the third party games just like PlayStation Plus, and I'm saving 20 quid on Forza 6. And I know in like 2, 3 years it's going to come to the service anyway. It's just model what Sony are doing because Sony have trial and
Literally.
errored plus so
Yeah.
much that, and they even turned around. Do you remember Sony turned around and were like, yeah, it was only a year after launch. It wasn't a year. I think it was 8 months after launch. They put Forbidden West in PS Plus for like 2 months and lost $100 million in sales because it was just like shit. Okay, that don't work. We're not doing that, and they've never done it again. But you got to trial and error your service.
Yeah, but how many new gamers did they, acquire in that? You know what I mean? It's like me myself, it's like I jumped on that as well.
Yeah, but they're just probably just looking at it from the sales standpoint. You know what I
Mm,
mean? But they're probably like, yeah, we're not, and they're not done it again. But if I want to play any Spider-Man game, if I want to play any God of War game or The Last of Us or anything, I can either go to the shop and buy it, or I can become an extra. You don't even need to become premium. You can become an extra customer.
yeah,
Sony's benefit with the premium is obviously to do with the PlayStation Portal, which we spoke about a few weeks ago about how many people have upgraded to Portal, to
yeah,
premium, sorry, because of the streaming popularity. But for Microsoft, on a Game Pass standpoint, this showcase announce all these games and give people some confidence in the brand again. That's what the messaging needs to be. Because what you're going to have, you talk about the fan fest, you're going to have a whole bunch of YouTubers moaning there. Why you need to go exclusive again? You need to go exclusive again. Well, you need to message them. Then you need to buy the day one games again. If
yeah.
you don't want us to be that, or if
Make
you're
that
gonna do it,
financial commitment. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah. If
keep it
if
with
this is
that.
what you really want, are you willing to sacrifice? And let's
Yeah,
see what their reply is. Then if they say, if loads of them say yeah, you're like, right, we're gonna do this. If not, then you say, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing this. The games are still coming to PlayStation, but we're gonna do 1 year exclusive on the Xbox for every game before we come to PS5.
yeah. You're right. And if
We'll
they've
see
got
what
like
they
a
do.
premium, if they've got like a premium subscription and whatever it is, like the top tier, like you said, they get 25% off or some nominal discount. You know what I mean? So they've got access to all the classic games. They also get a discount if they purchase it day one and they can stream it because I think that was what they were trying to do. They've got the servers, they've got the capabilities. Obviously, running things are going to be really cheap for them. So, but yeah, blend the best of both worlds, and
Mm.
don't make it free because I think that financial commitment is necessary to show how people actually how much trust your customers actually have with you. If they're willing to actually put their hands in their own pocket and purchase, then yes, you've got that loyalty. But if you're just giving it away, what does that show as a developer? What does that show as a manufacturer that you don't really care about the quality that you're putting out there? So make sure that there is a payment barrier. Hopefully keep the prices down because yeah, it's digital. and you might actually regain your fan base again. But
Yeah, you can't spread Game Pass. You
can't.
can't improve your game sales if your install base is dwindling down further and further. You need to look after
Mm.
your core element
Yeah,
and
yeah,
rebuild yourself back up, but you need solid foundations to do it. And I think when you look at Nintendo from Nintendo 64 to GameCube and then Wii U specifically, you saw them like, okay, we are losing something here. Something's not right. The Wii was
losing
an
their edge.
outlier, right?
Mm.
Because it was so cheap compared to PS3 and 360. It was all about family. We need to get back to that, right? And we need to build a solid foundation. And Nintendo's foundation has always been family, not power. And now
Mm.
look at where it is. Sony's foundation has been first party lineup and branding. PlayStation, you spoke about it multiple times, is synonymous with like Coke and Apple and stuff like that. It is a brand. That's what Sony's strength is, along with its strong games. As a PlayStation gamer, I'm extremely happy I got to play Gears of War. I'm extremely happy I'm going to get to play Starfield and Halo and things like that on PlayStation. But I will not have Sony slow down and realize they don't need to put 300 million into their single player games. I want them to be on their toes making these killer AAA games. And to do that, I need another party pushing them, which is Microsoft, right? And that's what I would rather lose those Microsoft games. They're not really that good. To push Sony to keep investing $200 million, $300
Yeah,
million. Because if there is no Xbox and they're not pushing it, Sony will be like, well, do you need to make another IP behind this? Slow down, slow your roll. We only need one. Luckily,
yeah,
Totoki said early last year, he goes, there'll be a minimum of one AAA game every year from us. And then the next year, I think there was three, and then there's three this year. So we're getting a lot. But if there is no competition, they won't be doing it.
yeah. The
It will be
competition will be
one
gone.
game, and I
Yeah.
don't want one. I want a Sauros. I want a Tokon. I want a Wolverine. I want those all these games and stuff in between. So
Mm.
it's good banter as well, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's fun.
exactly,
It's
innit? Come
fun.
on.
I have loved nothing more than doing it on my side, right? To the detriment of the green side,
Yeah,
but it's been fucking fun, man. But let's see what
yeah.
they do at this showcase.
Let's see.
I do hope they re-establish a foundation and build from that
Mm.
because I think that's what they need to do more than anything. But
Definitely.
we talked about Game Pass. We'll move on to New Story 6, where PlayStation Plus is giving us even more this month.
Mm.